Alright, hello guys. This is RJ, aka Firehouse Light. Um, I am here. I just got back from being in traffic for 45 minutes because I live in LA and I was teaching since 8 a.m. No makeup as usual, so I look awesome. I'm gonna minimize QuickTime because I don't want to look at myself. Anyways, I have for a while been really wanting to start a little video series. Not a scheduled one, just one that kind of comes as it comes. And as I was sitting in traffic today, I was listening to Rob Bell's podcast, the Rob Bell Cast, Robcast, that's what it's called, Robcast, who's my favorite preacher. And I was just really feeling like now's the time. So, get ready for it, because this is when half of you are gonna pause the video and keep scrolling, which is totally fine. But okay, you ready? I want to talk about the Bible. There it is. All right, it's okay if you left. That's totally fine, because I get why you have that reaction. I don't know. There are a lot of things about the Bible that I feel are misunderstood. At least from my experience. I am coming into this as someone who is untrained. I'm not going to pretend that I have gone to seminary school. My mom has, and she's told me some things, but all of this is just coming from me as a person who has been Christian my whole life, all 25 years, except, well, no, I have been. I didn't go to church for 1 year in college just to try it out, and then I was like, nah, I like going to church. But there's just a lot of things where I see things being talked about the Bible and about God and religion, and I'm just like, that's not, they're calling it Christianity, but that's not what I believe. So, I don't know, I feel like I want to talk about it and start a conversation maybe. And maybe this is even kind of a way for me to try to reach out to other Christians that maybe I feel more connected to, because I don't really feel like I can talk to a lot of Christians. Being a creative, that I am lucky enough, I do go to a church with a lot of creative people. Being queer, queer Christians are not really looked upon well, and I apologize if you don't like the word queer. I prefer it for myself, just because it's a lot less pretentious sounding than asexual biromantic, who everyone is hot and I am sweaty and my gender is but finding more Christians who prefer justice over judgment. You like that one? I like that one. I thought about that in the car. Justice over judgment. So anyways, like I said, it's just to open up a conversation. I'm not a converter type. Don't plug me into a wall. I don't think that you can convert someone to Christianity for them, because it's a very personal thing, which is, again, why I want to do this, because I want to talk about how I view certain things in the Bible that I feel like are misconstrued a lot. So that's what I'm here for. If it's not your jam, no hard feelings. I really don't care. This is more for me to unload things out of my brain, because I am so full of things in my brain all the time that I need to start a journal or start a video journal or something, because my head is going to explode. If anyone reads my comic and is wondering where Daisuke's anxiety comes from, it's me. Anyways, so I have a lot of ideas. This first one, I just wanted to talk about what is the Bible, and according to me, and maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't, but I'm gonna talk about it like it's fact, because I think it is, because it's my opinion. So anyways, yeah, I'm here. I have my Blue Nessie mic, which, if you don't think I bought it entirely because it's named Nessie, then I don't know what to tell you. Name something after a cryptid and I'll buy it. I also may be interrupted by many cats during this. I apologize. They like laps, and I have a nice thick one right here. So yeah, I want to get started. And I didn't take any notes, so this is going to be completely ad-libbed, so I apologize for all this ums and uhs, but I'm hoping I'm a little better at it since I'm a teacher, but there's one. Let's just start with what do you think when you hear the question, what is the Bible? I'm gonna just go through some that I feel like I hear things that maybe I believed at one time, or that it seems other people think. So I feel like the first one that a lot of people jump to is a rule book. Don't wear two types of material sewn together, and don't eat pigs, and that kind of thing. Another is a history book. Maybe a poetry book. A journal kept by people. Letters. Fantasy. That's a fair assessment if you don't believe in it. A metaphor. Let's see, I wonder if I can figure out one more good one. I should grab my Bible and actually, have it here in the beautiful case that my parents got me, when I was 16. It says wisdom. Yeah, I'll call it with that. Guidelines. And my answer to that would be no and yes. I think the Bible is all of those things. At the same time. The one thing that I don't think the Bible is a magical book that floated down from heaven and landed in people's hands fully written from the Lord himself. I think people under that misconception are missing everything. Everything. Not only some of it, but I think they're missing everything. I would define the Bible as a chronicle of the evolution of human society and their relationship with God. I think that would be my Webster's dictionary definition for it. And I think that is what makes it so special. What is it about this book that makes it a bestseller? Why hasn't Harry Potter beaten this, 1,000-year-old hunk of paper? This doesn't even have witchcraft in it. I mean, they mention it, but there's no chocolate frogs. Why do we love it so much? Or hate it? And I just think because the Bible is everything, you have metaphors, you have history, you have just lists of people's names who ruled, you have rules that were set up at the time, you have personal letters between people, you have eyewitness accounts, you have accounts from people who interviewed the eyewitnesses and then interpreted that through their own words. And it's just, I feel like a lot of people approach this book in a couple of ways that I would say are incorrect. The first being approaching the Bible with modern sensibilities, which leads to a lot of misinterpretation. You have to remember that this version may have been written recently, but the original Bible books not only were written hundreds and thousands of years ago, they were written over the course of hundreds, maybe thousands of years, by many, many different people. And so approaching the Bible saying, well, this was written by God, maybe people used their hands, but it was written by God, I don't think is a good way to think about it. It's much more than that. I maybe that sounds blasphemous to say, being written by God is not enough, but I think it could have been inspired. I think the people who wrote these things were inspired to write these things at the time. But I think approaching it as, word of God, approaching it as something that was written at one time and that was written to not be argued with is not right. I think, coming as a Christian person, I think God wants us to wrestle with his book, this book. And, there's a story in the Bible about wrestling with God. There's the one guy that wrestled with an angel. And I love that. That's so visceral. I want to get into this. If there's something I come across, I want to read it, and if I go, that doesn't really sit right with me, I want to dig into that and see why. Maybe it was a different translation. Maybe there's just something about it I don't agree with. I don't know. I think just reading this at face value is so lazy. Is so lazy. There's so much in it. A great thing I heard on the Robcast today was someone described the Bible as some kind of rhinestone that gives 100 different visions of light, depending on how you turn it. And I would say that's one of the best definitions of the Bible I've ever heard. This book has so many facets to it, which comes down to the Hebrew that it was originally written in, because Hebrew has way less words than many of the languages that it was translated into, speaking obviously from English. And so a lot of the words in the Hebrew could mean multiple different things. And they used that in the Bible. These writers used that, and maybe even God inspired that. Maybe they didn't even do it consciously, but there's so many ways that you can approach the same passages. It can mean many different things for many different people. It can mean many different things for the same person at different times of their life. I've gone back and reread the Gospels, I don't know how many times in 25 years, because there's just something about them. Every time I read them, I feel like I see a new side of Jesus and of the faith. And I won't even get into Jesus because I am a Jesus freak and I will not shut up. And I'm trying to keep this short because my roommate will be home soon. Anyways, like I said, I didn't take notes, so I lost my train of thought. But the Bible is just so much more than a history book, or I'd say it's more than a fantasy for those of you who don't agree with the Christian faith or don't believe in it. Because even if it's all fake, which I accept as a possibility, of course, it could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Why I believe in Christianity, or why I believe in Jesus. Sometimes I don't believe in Christianity because Christians can be like, woohoo. Why I believe in Jesus and God is a whole story unto itself. But even those of you who don't believe that there's any truth to it in the sense of God, there's truth to it in these were different people writing about life at the time when they lived. They were, there are passages that don't mention God at all, of course. There are books that don't mention God because it's people writing about their experiences and processing them through poetry, through history, through metaphor, through all of that. I think what spurred on wanting to do something like this was one time I was talking about, on a Tumblr post, because I get in fights with people on the internet sometimes. I made some sort of post about misinterpretation of a certain passage. I believe it was Abraham being asked by God to sacrifice Isaac, which I definitely want to do a podcast or a video on, because holy crap, I love that story. It's become one of my favorite stories once I learned the context to it. Anyways, but I mentioned something about, I think, there are certain parts of the Bible that I think are metaphors. For me, I think the story of Adam and Eve is a metaphor. I don't think Adam and Eve were real. Personally, I don't have a lot of backing to it, except there are things about it that don't make sense to me. And it's not the talking snake. It's more like men versus women. Being someone who's kind of gender fluid, I don't really understand like male female thing. Anyways, and someone responded like, well, you can't you can't pick and choose what you think is fact and what you think is metaphor about the Bible. And I'm just like, why? Why not? Of course I can. That's what this all is about. You read this and you grasp from it what you can and you learn what you can from it. And I don't think everyone will learn the same thing from the Bible. Everyone applies their own experiences and will relate to different experiences chronicled in this Bible. So that's why I'm super passionate about the Bible. I have read the whole thing front to back, which I would not recommend. I would recommend reading the whole thing, but there are guides online and programs that will help you read it in a more interesting way. But I started at Genesis and went to Revelations. It took me probably 2 years, maybe, just reading, a chapter a day. And it was a lot. I almost stopped probably around 2nd Chronicles, which is just like lists and lists and lists of this person was on the throne and then this person died and then this person killed him and then this person reigned for a while and this person fucked up and this one person didn't. Anyways, it was here it is. I found Chronicles. It's just lists. Anyways, but it's important. These were people, The children of Amram were people. Oh, they were actually Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Anyways, it's not important. Libni and Shimei, those were people. They're just names here, and I don't care about them. But think about it, like, these were people, their lives. Some of them are chronicled in here. Some of them are just names, but they're mentioned. They have purpose. Anyways, there's just so many cool things about the Bible. I could probably get distracted by any of these. I love it. I love the Bible. And it gets really hard sometimes because I often have a harder time loving other Christians than I have loving, fellow queer people or, even people who have really fucked up. Just because I don't feel like they're representing Jesus very well. Not that I am the best, because I'm not. I am a constant fuck up. But I am trying, and I hope everyone is trying. I know they're trying too, but I just don't agree with their tactics. There's nowhere in the New Testament where Jesus said be a dick and picket funerals. But anyways, side story. Oh, and here comes a cat. Hey, baby girl. Anyways, I guess I'm winding down. But yeah, I just wanted to start this conversation. And I would love for people to join in if anyone wants to give their 2 cents. If you want to tell me I'm crazy for believing in this mumbo jumbo, fine, it's your opinion. I love talking about this stuff and trying to sink my teeth into it and gnaw my way through it. So I want to do more of these. Some stories I really want to hit. Like I said, I want to talk about Abraham and sacrificing of Isaac, or not so much sacrificing of Isaac. Jonah and the whale, or as I like to say, Jonah forget the whale. It's not about the whale. Or the big fish, either way. What was the other one? I really love the story of the friends lowering their paraplegic friend through the ceiling to see Jesus, because of the Pharisees in that scene. This was inspired by something I read in a book by a man called N.T. Wright, who's a brilliant theologian. I have a series of his books, and I was just reading through his stuff, and I was just like, whoop! Because he's one that gets into all the context, which is what I'm all about. You can't read the Bible without context. So many of these things were reactions to things at the time. They were written for people at that time. They weren't written for you. I'm sorry. They weren't written for you. You can read them, and you can gain things from them, but you have to know what they were meant for, which is where we get all of these misinterpretations. Anyways, I guess that's it. Let me know if anything else happens. I'm sorry about the sun. I just looked at my video and saw that the sun has been slowly blotting out my face. That's okay. You don't need to see it. Anyways, say bye to Simba, and we'll talk later. Anyways, I'll see ya on the interwebs. Bye.